They say that nothing travels faster than light. Try spreading a lie. Change my mind. Now, Steven Crowder, he's been in hot water lately because of the whole video leak with him and his wife. As you guys can see, like it doesn't look good for him, okay? But anybody who's been in a relationship, they just take a look at that and, you know, they think to themselves, oh, that's just a couple arguing. I've had arguments like that in my relationships. Now, the reason why I'm talking about lying is because there's been a former friend of Steven Crowder's that is currently calling him a liar and a bully and a bad boss as well. But before we get into that, I want to kind of just reiterate what's going on with Steven Crowder. As you guys know, there's a video of him circulating at the moment where it's him and his wife. There's also that video of him where he goes live on broadcast and he talks about the whole issue with marriage. People are calling that into question. Like, why is he describing it in that sense as if he doesn't want his wife to leave him? You can literally type it up on the search bar and any YouTuber is going to be talking about it. The whole issue with Candace Owens, the whole issue with Steven Crowder and his wife, I just don't know. There isn't enough evidence for me to actually look over all of those details and really make an assessment out of it. So what I decided to do was go and listen to somebody who's worked very close with Crowder. And that gentleman is Dave Landau. Now, if you've never heard about Dave Landau, it's because you have to actually pass the story mode to unlock him. No, I'm just kidding. No, it's because Crowder will never promote his stuff. So we're going to get into that aspect in a bit. But a little bit about Dave Landau. He is a comedian who wrote for the show Louder with Crowder. He also co-hosted the show. He worked alongside with Steven Crowder. He worked for about 4 years to be exact. Now, according to Landau, whenever he would participate in the show, Crowder and staff would remind Landau that Crowder is the one to always get the last word. And also, you can never be funnier than Crowder on the show.
You know, it became a little weird because a light was put in where it was his rant button. And it was basically a Dave don't talk button.
How were you informed that there is a don't talk light, and what was your reaction?
I was pissed a bit because I know my job. It was just, hey, don't be funnier, don't be, and that's the truth. I mean, it sounds bitter, but I knew it was true because I was pulled aside and I said it, and it was, hey, make sure if you're doing a rant or like you guys are riffing, he gets the last word. And I had to make sure that, you know, he got the last thing. So even if I did have a funnier joke, I would just leave it out. It was important for the fans to not hear it. I always felt that my job as a comedian was to leave out the good one. But I also feel like somebody who's so pro free speech and non-censorship, he was really about censorship.
All right, question. Let's say that there's a bowl of alphabet soup, right? And it spills on the floor. God forbid that one of the co-hosts reads the spill live on air. If it spells out a sentence that's a lot funnier than whatever Crowder said the entire episode, will that person be scolded? I can imagine that the answer would probably be yes. Because I can imagine, like, you know, he reads it out loud, he gets a laugh, and then Crowder, he has to pull him to the side like, dude, what are you doing? Why are you reading the spill? You're not a janitor. And lastly, Crowder isn't exactly the type of guy you can run up to and ask for help to grow your brand. Dave tells of an instance where he met a fan at the mall.
Just because where else am I going to go to promote? I'm not on any other shows.
Right.
And I don't have time to go to other shows because I write for him. And at this point, I'm now desperate to promote my shows because he won't do it.
Okay.
So you have me and Matt McClowery. He's got a new daughter. We're going around the country and I'm watching ticket sales slide. And it's funny. Like, I'm literally in malls, like, for example, doing like a funny bone. And I'm in like a comic book store and Matt and I are standing there and the guy would go, hey, you're Dave Landau. And I go, yeah. And he'd be like, what are you doing here? And I'm like, I'm performing at the Funny Bone upstairs. And he'd be like, really? You should mention your dates on your show. And I'd be like, yeah, I should. You're right.
Wow. That must have been like a knife in the heart.
It would hurt. Yeah. But I wouldn't tell them. I wouldn't go like, oh, it's because
I'm not allowed. I got the lights on.
Yeah. And at that point, I had already had my, contract terminated. I could have said the truth.
After listening to Dave talk about Crowder, and of course everyone else like Candace Owens, his wife, I am convinced that Crowder is the type of guy to eat the last slice of pizza instead of giving it to a starving child. It is not looking good for Steven Crowder. You want some advice, Crowder? Listen, buy 1,000 fortune cookies and pray to God that he copy and paste one of those fortunes onto your life script, because you're gonna need it, man.
In the last year, I was treated in a way that I did not deserve to be treated, and regardless of any amount of money that people think or thought that I made, it was not worth it. And I really do appreciate deeply the fan base that Steven got me, but it just, by the end of it, the gaslighting and the I'm glad to be done, and that's about it.
And you know what's crazy too? I wouldn't be surprised if Steven Crowder doesn't even realize he's doing it, because it's the same trend with all of these huge YouTubers. At least based off of what I've heard about some of these YouTubers, it sounds like that's the case. And there's already a list of YouTubers with massive egos and with a certain reputation, like Leafy is here, David Dobrik, J Station, and the list can go on and on and on. Even I think Darman as well. I'm not sure about Darman. The list can go on and on. I even have my own experience because I've worked with a YouTuber as well, and I can tell you guys that I don't know if it's because it's common when these YouTubers make it to act like this. From my experience, it seems like they only respect people if they're either at their level or above. And even then, even for YouTubers who are above them, they still look down on them. I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of these YouTubers think that they help influence the algorithm. And what I mean by that, I mean, obviously we all influence the algorithm in some sort of way. But the thing is that with these massive YouTubers, if they do terrible, then they believe that everybody else is gonna do terrible. I know, because I was around that personality type, and I could not piece together the fact that these guys were rationalizing the fact that every other YouTuber did well because they did well. These YouTubers with a massive ego who think that they influence the algorithm, they tell themselves, I don't know what these YouTubers will be without me. Like, dude, fucking algorithm doesn't revolve around you. I'm telling you, dude, if these YouTubers can die in their own arms, they would. And like, for reals, man, I would not be surprised if they felt lonely because they couldn't relate to anybody. It's so lonely to be perfect. Yeah, never again will I work with a YouTuber like that. Like, I'm done. I don't ever want to see another narcissist in my life again, dude. You know, red used to be my favorite color, but knowing what I know now, red flag, bro, I'm out. Anyways, that's all I got for you guys. And yeah, hopefully you guys learned something today.